And so today we will be looking at the next section of programming, which is loops. So also just to give you a reminder, today is the last date for submitting the assignment, and I don't think you can do it uh, fast because there are, I think, 4 questions or something. And so you need to give a bit of a thinking before you do that assignment. Okay, so read the questions properly and write the program. The questions are simple, but it's only maybe like 4 to 5 lines of code. But you need to think a bit before you do that program. So today is the last date. I had already enabled the assignment submission link in Google Classroom. Okay. Okay, so and also there is an important announcement. So we have missed some good amount of classes. I think in the last 1 month because of election duties and evaluation camps and etc. etc. So I'm planning to take a class on Saturday at 10 o'clock. I'm not saying that the class will be for 1 hour because once we finish where I want to finish, we will stop the class. So maybe like it might be half an hour, 1 hour, or 2 hours. So make yourself prepared for that. Okay, so we'll have a class at 10 o'clock. I hope you don't have any other official engagements during that time. So if somebody else wants to take the class during that time, please let them know that we have already scheduled the class this Saturday at 10 o'clock so that we can cover at least till module 1 or module 2, half of the module 2. You might have seen your academic calendar, which was published recently in KTU, and I think the last date of your test 1 to be finished is May first week, which means that most probably you will have the series test during that week. So before that test, we need to complete at least module 2. We are still haven't entered any of the modules in our course because we are still looking at the very basics of programming, and without which you will not understand any of module 1 and 2. Okay, so and since we have lost classes also, we need to have one session of extra class at least on Saturday. I was actually planning to take multiple sessions at from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock every day, but I think that will be difficult for you. Um, so it will be, I think, instead of doing that in multiple days, I think it will be better to do it in one day and finish it off. Okay, fine. So remember to submit the assignment today, and we will have the quiz for this week and next previous week in the next week. Okay, so uh, make yourself make sure you look at the slides and also the lectures I am uploading in YouTube. Okay, fine. So let me just take my window. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen or see my presentation. Okay, so today we are going to look at the next part, which is called as loop. Um so why do we need something called as a loop? You might have studied loops uh, in your what do you call microcontroller programming. Okay, so the question is, why do we need to have a loop? Okay, so let me just show you the a symbol code. I hope you can see my screen. This is my entire screen. Okay, Fine. So you see, if you can't see this screen, let me know. Okay, I am out of the screen of the Google Meet, so just unmute your mic and let me know if you can't see my screen. Fine. So this is a software called as Dave CPP, where you can write the C++ program, compile and everything. Okay, so just two lines you might already know, which and this also you know in the main. Okay, so let's say I want to. So my target is to print numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, this is what I want my program to do. So the easiest way to do this is you can say cout, you print 1, you print 2, you print 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and at last 10. Okay, and you put a return statement at the end. Okay, so when you do this, you see that you can print numbers from. So let me just compile this. So this is called as compilation, where if you see at the bottom here, it will show something called as a log. This is called as a compilation log. And once you compile it, you see that there are 0 errors and 0 warnings. Even if there is one warning, that is fine. But you should not have any errors. So there is no error in this program. Okay, the compilation is successful. Once you compile, then you run. When you run, you see that the output you are seeing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is what you want to achieve in the program. Okay, so this is a simple program. Now let's say I want to print numbers from 1 to, let's say, 1000. Okay, this is my next program. So as you can see, you can follow this step where you say cout 1, 2, you print 1, 2, 3, 10. Then you can start, then you say 11, then you say 12, 13, 14, etc., etc. Okay, that is totally fine. Now the problem with this one is you need to type it every time, each and every number. Now that's a big manual effort. Instead, if you could make a code in which instead of manually typing each and every number for 1000, you can just loop it through. Like for every loop or for every iteration means something which is repeated. Okay, so you call something called as iteration. I don't know whether you have heard of that. Iteration means something which is repeat. This is called as an iteration. Okay, so for every iteration, if you can print a new number, then that is your code. For example, you start with the number 1 in the first iteration, then you increment the number by 1 again in the next iteration, then the increment by number 1 again in the third iteration, and so on. So if you could do that in, let's say, 100 iterations or 1000 iterations, then you can print the number from 1 to 1000 each and every iteration. Okay, so to see that, let me show you this. Okay, so we are going to look at something called as loops. Okay, and loops are of 2 or 3 types. One is called as while, other is called as do while, and third is called as for. Okay, there are 3 types of loops. These are the 3 types of loops. So let's see the first one, which is the while loop. So in while loop, what you want to do is, first you need to declare a loop variable. So I would say the loop variable, my loop variable is, let's say, I. And you should initialize the variable to some value. Okay. So this statement means you are initializing a loop variable. Okay. Once you did that, Then you have the while, and inside this you will have a condition to run the loop. So as long as this condition is satisfied, the loop will run. Okay, and then you start a open braces and have a closing braces. So whatever you do inside this open and close braces is your loop body. Okay, so the loop body will execute as long as the loop condition is true. So which is the loop condition? Whatever you give here is the loop condition. Okay, so as long as the loop condition is true, it will execute. Okay, so you see that I have put slash star. This is a command, it will not get executed. Okay, fine. Now if you look at our aim, it is to print numbers from 1 to 1000, right? So what I can do is I initialize a variable int I. So my number should start from 1. So I say my first value of my variable is 1. Now this while loop should run 1000 times, and each time it should print the number. Okay, so I'm going to print cout I. Okay, so when I run this program, it will come here. It says I is equal to 1. It goes to while. Let's say I have some condition. So it will, the condition is, in this case, is you want to print the values till 1000. So I should be less than or equal to 1000. Okay, this is the less than or equal to sign. So as long as the value of I is less than or equal to 1000, you execute this loop. Okay, so when I say print cout I, when it enters first, so int I is equal to 1, so I, the value of I is equal to 1, it will enter the while loop. It checks the condition, is I value less than or equal to 1000. Initially the I value is 1, and it found that the value of I is 1, which is less than or equal to 1000. So it will enter this loop, it will execute this statement, so it will print 1. Now it will go back again to this statement. Now I hasn't changed, so the value of I is still 1. So 1 is less than or equal to 1000. So it will come again and it will print 1. So if you see this, you see that every time when the loop is executed, it is printing the value 1. But what we need is it should print the next value, that is 2, when it enters the next iteration. Okay, so that means the value of I should increment in every loop. Now how can you increment the value of I? It is I is equal to I plus 1. So if you see this, you see that every statement executes from right to left. Okay, so first in this statement, previously the value of I was 1, it will get incremented by 1, which is 2, and that value will be stored back to I, and then now the new value of I is 2. Okay, so each time when you run this loop, the value of I is getting incremented by 1, and it will get printed. Okay, so let us run this and see. So I'll compile this, and you see that there are no errors. Let me run this, and you see that it has printed till 1000. So let me make a small space. Sorry. Okay, so let me put a tab. So you see here that it has printed value from 1 to 1000. Okay. So you see that let's see how this does in step by step so that we'll understand this program better. So let's do something called as a debugging. Okay. So let's put something called as a breakpoint. This is called as a breakpoint. I have put it here. So when I run this program, it will you can see an arrow here. It will come to this session. Now, if I press next line, then only it will go to the next line. Previously, when you run the program, it will execute it very fast so that you will not be able to see how it is getting run. So when you put in debug mode, you can see that how in each and every step, what is the value of I. Okay. So I'm going to do the I. You can see in the left side, the value of I, it is 0. Okay. Now, if I click next line, you see that the value of I has changed to 1 because it has executed this statement in I is equal to 1, because of which the value of I has changed to 1. Now it is checking, now is 1 less than or equal to 1000. The answer is true. So it will, when you click the next line, it will enter inside the loop. Okay. Now here it is cout to print I. So if you do next line, it will go inside and it has printed the value 1, if you see it here. Okay. Now you see, now the next statement is I is equal to I plus 1, which has not yet been executed. Now when I click next line, it will execute this statement and you can see that the value of I will change here. So let's try that. So when I click next, you see that I is equal to 2. Okay, that means here when you executed, the value of I got incremented by 1 and it gets stored back in I. This is what the statement means. And if you see, instead of going to this statement, you can see the control has gone to this while condition. That is because the while condition has not been wrong yet. Okay, that's why it has gone to this. Now it will come here. Now the value of I is 2. It will check is 2 less than or equal to 1000. The answer is true. So if I click next line, it will go inside the loop. It will print the value of I. Here I is equal to I plus 1. When I execute it, it will increment by 1. So now it is 4. Okay. So if I keep on doing this, you see that in the left side, the value of I is getting incremented each time it enters the loop. And each time the value of I is checked if it is less than 1000. If it is less than 1000, then it goes inside the loop, print the value of I, increment the value of I, and it will check again. So this will go on as long as the value of I is less than or equal to 1000. Okay. So for your sake, let me make the value of, let me print till 1000, 10. Okay, so that you can see it will exit the loop. Okay, so when I compile this, shows no error. So let me put in debug. Now let's execute line by line. So you see I is 1. So you can check here I is 2, I is 3, I is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is less than or equal to 10. That is true. Come inside, print 9. Increment I by 1, print 10. It will be 10. Now 10 is less than or equal to 10. That is correct because there's a less than or equal to sign. It will go inside. It will print. Now I is equal to now 11. Is 11 less than or equal to 10? The condition is false. So it will directly jump to the next line outside the loop body. So it will not execute the loop if the condition is false. And it will directly go outside the body and it will finish execution. Okay, this is what a while loop is. So in a while loop, you have an initialization, okay, which is this. So this you can do it something like this: I is equal to 0 here, then you can put I is equal to 1 here. That is totally fine, because here the I value will be 0. When it reaches here, the I value will be 1. And you have the while loop. In the while loop, it will check the condition. If the condition is true, it will execute the loop body. The loop body will be executed as long as this condition is true. Whenever the condition becomes false, it will stop execution of the while loop. It will jump to the next statement. So currently the next statement here is return 0. You can have any statement after this while loop to put it executed. Okay, so I hope you have understood this concept of looping. Okay, this is a simple while loop. Next, there is something called as a, so this is, I would say, while loop. Next is, so in while loop, if you see, first it will check the condition. If the condition is true, then only it will enter. Okay, and the next is something called as a do while. So let me put it in comments so that it will not get executed. So when I put double slash or slash star, it will not get executed. Next, we are going to see do while. So usually people doesn't use do while. Usually people use while loop only. But let's see how the do while works. Now do while is something like this. You say do, and you give the loop body. So this is the loop body. Okay, fine. So you will still have the variable initialization and everything. So you should, let's say I put a different variable. Let's say this is another variable called as j, and I say j is equal to 0 or j is equal to 1. Let's put the same way. Okay, so this is the variable initialization which we did. This is when you say j is equal to 1, it is the variable initialization. And you want to do in bracket, and then you say while j is less than or equal to 10. Okay, so if you compare while and do while, you see that the only change is you have a do at the starting and the while is at the end. Okay, so let's do the same program. Let's see what happens. So you are printing the value of I. Okay, now let's compile. Semicolon missing. Let us run. Sorry, I should have put j here. And I should print j here. Otherwise, it will print the previous value of I. And you see it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now how the loop works? Let's see. Let's put a breakpoint here. Let's put it in debug mode. And let's add j to watch. So you see j is equal to 0. When I execute this, now you see j is equal to 1 because you have set j equal to 1. And you print the j. Now the j is incremented by 1. Now j is 2. And after this, it will check if j is less than or equal to 10. If it is less than or equal to 10, then only it will go to the do statement. Otherwise, it will exit the loop. So here in do while, you will check the condition only after executing the loop body. While in while loop, you are checking the condition before executing the loop body. So before you execute the loop body, you will check the while condition. But here, after executing the loop body, you will check the while condition. So that is the two, that's a major difference between do while and while loop. Okay, so let's continue. So next, you see that the value of j is getting incremented. It is getting printed, again incremented. Then the check condition is checked if j is less than or equal to 10. If it is less than or equal to 10, then it will go to do statement. Okay, so j is printed. Now the value of j is incremented to 5. Then it has actually checked this condition and it has go to the do while. So let's continue. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then here again 10 is less than or equal to 10. Now the value of j is 11. When I click it, it has returned to 0 because once I reach do, or actually it has checked here 11 is less than or equal to 10, it is false, because of which it hasn't executed the loop body and it has returned to the value 0. Okay, and this is how do while has executed. Okay, now I am going to ask you a question. Let me know if you can answer. Okay, let's forget about do while and let me do this. Now, can you tell me how many times will this loop get executed? Anybody? So I have while I is less than or equal to 10. Then I say cout I, I'm printing I. Now, can you tell me how many times, how many number of times will this loop get executed? Anybody? You can put in chat, that is fine. I know that you are reluctant to speak with the mic on. So, okay, Vishnu is saying infinite. Anybody else? Amar Prasad is saying 11. Fine, good. Can you get me one more? Okay, so actually the answer is infinite because you see I is less than or equal to 10. Fine. Now you print I. Now there is no statement here which will increment the value of I. So as long as this loop exits, the value of I is always 1. That means there is no statement which increments the value of I. That means the value of I is always 1. Okay, I'm not changing the value of I, because of which the value of I is always 1. So this statement is always true, because of which it will execute as long as it is running. Okay, so if I compile and run, you see it is keeping on executing. If I don't stop, it will keep on printing 1 because the value of I is not getting changed. So it will print 1 always. So when I close this, then only it will stop. So the answer is infinite number of times. Okay. So I hope you have understood while and do while. You can have a lot of exercises on do while and while. Okay. So make sure you understand the concept. The concept is very simple. That's all. There's nothing complicated. Now, thing is, you can have any conditions inside. You can have an if condition inside, if and else, etc., etc. Okay, that is totally fine. Or you can have another while loop inside. This is called as a nested loop. Okay, so you can have another while loop. Let's say j is less than 100 and something something like this. That is totally fine. You can have nested if else condition. So whatever you're doing outside the while loop, you can do inside the while loop also. Okay, so that you should keep in mind. Okay, now let's go to the last loop, type of loop, and it is something very important, which is called as the for loop. So usually people tend to use for loop more often than while loop because you can have more control in for loop. So the syntax of for loop is something like this: for in bracket the initialization condition okay, or is a initialization semicolon. There is a loop condition which says when the loop till what condition the loop should execute. This is similar to our while loop condition. And then you have a loop statement. Okay. And after that, you have this curly braces. Inside the opening and closing brace, you have the loop body. So this is your for loop. Okay. So in while loop, you had initialization outside the loop. So this was done, if you remember, it was done outside the loop before while loop. And this loop condition was there in while loop. And there was no loop statement. Okay. But in for loop, you have all the three separated by a semicolon. Okay. So let's try out this. For I want to print the numbers from 1 to 10. So you have a loop variable called as I, and I initialize it to 0. Okay, so I should do int I. Okay, so this is the initialization. Now the loop condition is you want to print the numbers from 1 to 10. So let's do the condition is it should be less than or equal to 10. Sorry, the initialization should be 1 because you want to print the numbers from 1 to 10. Now, if you had looked upon while loop, you have given I is equal to I plus 1. That can be given as a loop statement here. Okay, this is called as a loop statement. You can give any statement. It need not be I. It can be J. It can be K. Whatever thing you can think of, you can give as a loop statement. Doesn't matter. Okay, and then you just need to do cout I. That's all. That's your loop word. So the for loop have simplified your while loop in a very great way because everything that you need is there in this three different statements separated by semicolon. Okay, and in loop body you just need to do what you want. That's all. Fine. So now how is the flow of this execution? So first it will see there's a variable called as I. It will go inside the for loop. It will check or it will set I is equal to 1. Then it will check if I is less than or equal to 10. If I is less than or equal to 10, then it will go inside the for loop and execute the loop body. Okay. Then it will come back in for loop. It will increment I by 1. So now I is equal to 2. It will check if 2 is less than or equal to 10. If it is less than or equal to 10, then it will execute the loop body. Then it will go back again, increment I by 1. So now is equal to 3. It will check the loop condition. is 3 less than or equal to 10, that is true. So it will go inside and execute the loop body. So it will execute as long as the value of I is less than or equal to 10. Now, if you see here, this is executed only once when you enter the for loop for the first time. So this is executed only once. The initialization is executed only once, and the rest of the time it will always execute this loop condition and loop statement. Okay, so let's try this. So let's compile and let's debug. Let us put I in the watch. Okay, let's put breakpoint. Okay, now you watch I. When I go to the next line, the I is incremented to 1 because there's an incrementation here. When you go to the next line, it has go to the for statement. It has incremented the I to 1, which is 2, and it has printed I. Now it has incremented I to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it has returned. So when the I value is 11, it has just exited the loop. It has go to the next statement. So same, so you can see that the loop executions of do, while, and for loops are exactly same, except that the syntax is different. Now, just like you had any loop inside, you can have any for loop, any number of for loops inside this for loop. Okay, you can have another for loop. Inside this, you can have another for loop. And inside this, you can have another for loop, and so on. As long as syntax is correct, you can. And you can have any number of if else conditions here. Okay, you can have an if else here. And so on. Okay, so this is called as a nested loop if you have for loop inside or on a for loop. Okay, so this is how the loop works. So you want, so loops actually, although the concept is simple, when you do actual programming, you will be doing a lot of looping, and there, depending on what program you are doing, loops will be complicated. Okay, then you want to think a bit how to implement a for loop properly. Okay, so we will do some exercises on looping, for loops, and while, and other loops. Okay, fine. Okay, so I think that concludes. I have a presentation. I don't think we need to. I'll upload this presentation anyway. I think we don't need to. Hope you can see my screen. So this is what we have already seen. While loop, you have iteration, you have condition, you have block of statement, which is called as loop body, and you can do what you want to do inside the loop body as long as the logical condition is met. So this is the body of while loop. So you can write a flow chart in which you can see that as long as you can see here, the logic, there's a logical condition here. So as long as the logical condition is true, the loop body will execute. Okay, and it will go back and forth, and etc. So when it becomes false, then it will exit this loop and go to the next part of the program. Okay, fine. And then, so this is basically loop condition is checked before executing loop body. This is very important. Okay, So it might be possible that it will not enter the loop at all if the loop condition is false, right? So this is a small program in which you are actually calculating the uh, average marks, okay, also minimum and maximum marks. Okay, so I will give you this as an exercise to do. And this is a, you see, there's a while true. True is a statement, which means it is always one. So there is a no loop condition here. It will execute, this will execute infinite number of times, the whole thing. Okay, because this is always true. Unless you keep a something called as a break statement, which will exit the loop. Okay, so if you give a break, that means if marks is less than is equal to -1000, then it will execute break. If it executes break, it will come out of this loop and to the next statement. So as long as there is no break executed, this loop continues to run. When you have the break statement, it will come out. Okay, so that is regarding break. So unless you do an exercise, you won't. So this is do while, same thing. So you see that there's a loop condition which is happening after the loop body is executed. Okay, and similarly, I think I have for loop also. So this is for loop. You see that there is an initialization which has seen. There's a semicolon. It's a loop condition, and there's an instruction to execute at the end of every iteration. So after every iteration or after every time the loop has executed, what should it do? That is what is there in this the after the second semicolon. Okay, so that is the, this is how the flowchart looks like, and this is same. So this they have implemented the same program in the while condition for finding the average marks using for loop. Okay, so you can just check this, and you can have a break statement so that it will come out of the loop. Right. So this all we have already seen. You just need to do some more programming exercises to make you to understand it better. Right. Okay. So I think that's all for today. I think I take the attendance. I think your ETLab is not up, because of which I can't put it directly.